welcome to the NRP Daily here on the National Real Estate Post. We are, of course, here with Kimber White, president of the National Association of Mortgage Brokers. Before we get started, Kimber, I got to remind everybody, Carl White and the Mortgage Marketing Animals. Carl is giving away his 30-day boot camp for free. Like, you don't have to put in a credit card or anything like that. You just get it for free, just to help everybody kick off the new year. And I don't know if you're that familiar with Carl. You should be by now, but man, he has got the greatest ideas, the easiest things to implement, where I guarantee you, if you go through his 30-day boot camp, you're going to find a bunch of stuff. It's like, I can do that right now. I can do that right now. It's going to be extremely, extremely helpful. How to do more business in less time, how to build teams, even if you think you can't afford it, all kinds of stuff like that. So click the banner you see on your screen right here. It's right below the video as well. Click it and register for it. All free, 30-day boot camp. You're going to learn a ton of stuff with Carl White and Mortgage Marketing Animals. All right, let's get to it, Kimber. You know,
Happy New Year.
Exciting times.
Yeah.
Right? Exciting times. Wow. 2021 off to quite an interesting start. And we won't get into, the obvious, that most people will probably think we're going to want to talk about. I don't want to talk about it. But no. We were chatting before we went live, and I was telling you about the interview I did with David Stevens last week, and it was a really good interview, and he had very positive things to say about the CFPB, and thinking that, they're really not going to be too overly concerned with, regulation by enforcement like it was back in the Obama days. And he says, the mortgage industry is a shining star, and they've already been regulated like a lot, right? And he was also very pro down payment assistance through HUD with Fudge coming in and saying, I can guarantee you there's going to be some HUD approved, dare I say, down payment assistance that's going to be rolling down the pipe. But let's talk about, you wanted to talk about DACA and what NAMB sees here. And what's DACA and what do you think's going? How has it been? How is it changing? Give us the scoop.
DACA DACA. What is a DACA person? I think that's the first person. It is someone who's undocumented, brought up here with the parents. They're undocumented. They were brought here as a child. You will hear anchor baby talk is what the words are in some groups, and it's not. It is just undocumented that came over here. The children were born here. They were undocumented, or they brought their children over here that were undocumented. These people have grown up. There's a large population that they've grown up. They're working. They hold their jobs. They're quality. A lot of them are doctors, lawyers, educated, hardworking people, pay their taxes, have legitimate rights to work. And up until a few years ago, we're always able to get mortgages if you're a DACA recipient, you could get a mortgage. Then the rules changed, and it got to be during the Trump administration that FHA came out and said, nope, we're not going to give DACA people loans because they're here illegal. So we're not going to give them a loan. And we're not going to give them a mortgage. And then Freddie is like, we'll do it by exception. And Fannie doesn't do it. And, I've had, again, it popped up again this year, which to me on like 4 or 5 that I've had. These people that I've had, one of them was a doctor and his wife was a nurse. Now just think about going through COVID right now. These people are hardworking people, came here, have been here since one was 4 and one was 7. They're 30 and 35 now. And we're telling them, you can't get a mortgage. You pay taxes because you're not legal here. And we want, NAMB has came out and said, look, this is wrong. It's fair housing for all. These people have paid. Let's allow these people to get a mortgage. Let's allow these people to get a loan. The problem was because then, this is not politics. Previous administrations thought, hey, they're not illegal. They could be deported. They could be whatever. And I go back to, well, you allow a foreign national to buy here, and the foreign national can leave the country and can leave at any time he or she wants to.
Good point.
You allow someone that is on a work visa to buy a home here, and at any time their work visa could not be renewed, and they could leave at any time. At the same time, just because someone's work visa has renewed doesn't mean they're going to stay and not go back to their home country. You have someone that has a green card who's able to work here. So my point is you have an L1 visa. So you have all these different terms, but you've now taken and penalized these people, this group of people that came over on their own, and were not on their own. They were brought by family, and want to buy a home. So that's what DACA is about. That's why we want HUD to do. We've asked HUD to review this. We've sent a thing to Ben Carson. We will be sending another one to Marsha Fudge. We feel that we need to put that program back in place. You just said affordable housing. This is an example of affordable housing. We feel that everyone has a right to own a home that has put the work in and paid their taxes and paid their bills and lives in the United States, that's got their legal ability to pay a tax and buy a home. Why are these people being penalized when you've got a complete sect that I just went through? They're not. This is why we're pushing on. This is a NAMB initiative. It's something that I feel really, really strong about, and I've asked that NAMB bring this forward and talk to our lobbyist and our GA chair, John Hudson, and we are bringing that forward. And this is why.
Interesting.
We need them to reinstate that.
So let's say for the younger originators out there who haven't been in the business very long,
Right.
so these products were available in the past?
Yes, they were.
Okay, and they were available through FHA, basically?
FHA, Fannie and Freddie, yes.
Okay, and so then they've been squashed, and so now we do have a new administration. When I was talking to David Stevens last week, I brought up, down payment assistance. HUD, has been, I hate that stuff, and he all but said that tune is changing, and there will be some. I wouldn't dare say HUD approved, because you can never say HUD approved apparently, right? But he said that we pretty much rest assured that HUD under the new director Fudge, right, that he believes that will change, that there will be some big changes coming to where we'll be able to get some down payment assistance. Do you think it'll also spill over to DACA? Do you think? I mean,
I think absolutely it'll spill over to DACA, because you remember this new administration wants to pass immigration, wants immigration reform, and I think in housing they're going to see the same thing. And as far as the down payment assistance programs, we know we've seen that go away. Remember how they came out in the ruling on that the second grant, the forgivable grant, that got pulled back and people didn't know where they could do it, and it came out, HUD was like, that's really not legal, if you remember that. So I think that is going to change, and I think DACA is going to change. I think everything about housing at HUD is going to change. I think HUD's going to open up and do more availability. I think the credit is going to be better. Again, we've talked about this before. We now have the widest wealth inequality gap in the United States. People that are in the average working class cannot afford to buy a home because they're using their down payment. We may not see it right now, but we're going to see it. We and I've talked about the people who work for Google, you and I and others can work from behind our computers at home, or we're not affected. That working person in that industry, California, we know, is still on lockdown. New Orleans, example, just went back to level 1. Other states, those people are using whatever they've had saved up to live on.
Yeah.
And we're going to have that down payment assistance. We've got to have these programs. We've got to open up these programs. You've already seen Freddie coming out, FHFA actually coming out saying we want, if you say that their initiatives, you look at their initiatives, they've even came out that we want more first-time home buyer. We want to open up our programs. We're working on that. NAMB's coming out working with the first-time home buyers. That's one of our things in our fair housing, fair housing initiative. That's one of the big things that we're coming out with. So for these newer loan officers that, we've been running around getting the great loans, what's falling out, and a lot of us in hot markets are great, but in rural America, and when we're looking at the average person that we're going to try to get a loan for, they're not there. So is it going to open up? Absolutely. I think Marsha Fudge is going to, look at her background. She's that type of a person. That she believes in fair housing. She believes in that. I think we're going to also look at seeing the fact that we're also seeing the discrimination when we're talking about $150,000 home loan with a 3% cap. I think we're actually going to be able to have a conversation now and say, those people are being underserved because no one can afford to do them. It's a mortgage broker business because of that cap of that 3%. So what are they doing? They're going to a big bank. They're going somewhere else, and they're getting charged higher interest rates. So we've got to look at how we can get people into those homes. And that's a conversation we've had for years with Maxine Waters, and now you've got that. Sherrod Brown on the other side is going to be there. In the Senate, he really understands this. So I think we're going to be able to get a lot of programs on the positive. When we keep people talking about negative, I think a lot of positive is going to be, it's going to open up a lot of housing opportunities that are actually going to help us and the economy.
Do you have any? And guys, just bear in mind, I'm just throwing this out here right now. We didn't really prepare for this per se, but like if DACA comes back into play, like how many people do you think that opens up? I mean, what's the percentage or number? Any ideas? Or?
I think that I don't know the exact things, but I think there's several 100,000, literally.
Yeah. So there's
several 100,000.
Yeah. The other question too would be, or not question so much, but little conversation we can wrap this up though, is if all this does come down, and let's say Marcia and HUD and the new administration manages to kind of open the doors a little bit for some more people to get some financing through down payment assistance, DACA, whatever these cases may be. Of course, one of our big problems is there's not a lot of houses to buy. It's like we want more first-time home buyers, but there's nothing to buy. So that's the problem. But then the thought is well, then maybe the builders will step up and go, wow, there's a new segment of business here that we can we can cater to, and maybe some affordable new homes might start jumping on the market.
Well, I think to wrap this up a little bit, if you remember, HUD came out and said, oh, we will get rid of the suburbans, the affordable housing. If you remember, we want to get rid of that because we don't want a housing community next to us. We don't want subsidized housing. That's not what that was about. What you're talking about being able to get someone to build and to be able to get those people and the builders to, that's what those programs were about that got done away with. Unintended consequences, yes, there was some bad in it, but there were unintended consequences by doing that. I think that's going to be put back in. I think you're going to see builders. I think you're going to see that opportunity. You're going to see the opportunity on HUD for that. I think you're going to see the first-time home buyer coming out of that. So I absolutely do think that there's going to be opportunity. So when we're sitting here going, well, the bad enforcement, and I agree with David. I think the enforcement's going to be there, but I don't think it's going to be iron fist enforcement. I think that we're going to keep doing our job. We're going to be fine. I think that in the long run, though, for the housing industry, it's going to be good with some of the programs. They're also going to be willing to work on credit. We all know we have credit issues in the credit bureaus, and I think they're going to be worked on. And I think we're going to have the ability to do that conversation. We're going to be at privatization of your credit and not selling things. So I think there's going to be a lot of conversations that's going to help the consumer, which in the end is going to help the mortgage broker, and it's going to help us grow the industry and grow a business, because before this year is over with, I think we're all going to see that there is a gap of people that you and I have talked about several times now, that unless we do programs for them and bring them in, this is that generation 20s to 30s, now the first time people that are there, that we're not going to be able to put them in something because they don't have the money. And the programs are very, very short. So we've got to get those buyers back into the market. And without these programs from HUD, Fannie, Freddie, we're not going to be able to service these people who have fallen by the wayside because of COVID, because of lack of job. Great economy, yes, but they've spent money and taken care of themselves, and that middle class and lower to middle class has fallen out of being able to buy homes.
Good stuff from Kimber White, president of the National Association of Mortgage Brokers. Thanks for all your insights. Keep us posted. Don't worry, guys. Kimber's back with us pretty much every week, and keep us posted on your conversations you might be having with HUD with respect to DACA, down payment assistance, all that kind of stuff. We'll keep you guys abreast of that as well. So appreciate your thoughts today, Kimber.
Thank you. Thanks, Frank.
All right, you guys have a great one. I'm going to put a link to NAMB right down below as well, guys, where you can click over there, become a member very inexpensively, and you've got NAMB in your corner, fighting for all originators out there, NAMB for all, and working on topics just like this directly with Capitol Hill. So thank you so much, Kimber. Appreciate it. You guys have a great day. Leave us your comments down below. Forward, share, and subscribe. And hey, you can always get a mobile app by doing this.
Download the National Real Estate Post mobile app today. Available on Apple Store and Google Play. Just search National Real Estate